Hello, my name is Tine from Victoria Designs, and if you like legends, you are going to love our Atlantis kit. At least it's how we think Atlantis looks like. Katia from Lunar Sun Creations has used these printables to create a tutorial for you with some impressive moving parts. She will completely show you how to construct the base, and then she'll show you how she embellished the whole thing. She has many great tutorials and crafts on her channel, so definitely go check that out. And Katia also has an Etsy shop where she sells some of her tutorials, so I'll link that below as well. If Atlantis is absolutely not your cup of tea, of course you can make this album with her other kits as well. Just as you can use the printables from this Atlantis kit to make journals, cards, using scrapbooks, etc. The measurements you need will all appear on the screen, but if you want a handy PDF with all the measurements neatly in a row, you can opt in via the link in the description to get it. And for more information about these beautiful printables, you can discover them in my Etsy shop, the link is below as well. And now, here's Katia.
Okay, so let me show you the completed album to start. Just a very simple cover. I just used some of the pattern paper because the images are so gorgeous that you don't really need to do much. I've got one of the fussy cut images on the back side and then a ribbon closure. So open this up. And over here, we've got a rolling waterfall. Okay, so I just left the top part of each one black so that you could add photos, and then the inside of each one I left white for journaling, but there's definitely enough pattern paper that you can add pattern paper fully to all of it. But I've just got one of the pieces. This piece here is kind of the whole image moves down the page, and then I've got part of one of the journaling cards down here. Okay, so that is that side. Open it up. In the center here, we've got two matching bits, so they open to the sides. They both open up. I haven't put pattern paper in here because I did want some spaces just for photos again. Because once you put some of the pattern paper, it's just so gorgeous that you're not going to want to cover it up. So I wanted to make sure that there were spots that people felt comfortable putting photos. And then they flip up and down again, and I've got this beautiful floral and a couple of the fussy cut images here. And then they open up again, and this stunning image on the background there with just some areas for journaling. And then on the far side, I was very much enamored with this collection. So there is a few images that I'm like, I can't bear to cut into them. So this one was another one of those, so gorgeous. I've got little ribbon pulls so you know that it opens. And then here are some of the large journaling cards, which also have gorgeous imagery. And then I've just used some of the kind of coordinating paper that the collection comes with to border them. And then again, you open it up, and I did the same thing over here so they mirror. And then this was one of the file folders, so I just cut it apart. And this is a pocket with a little insert. And it's magnetized, but also opens to the side. And here's another one of the file folders, some more gorgeous paper. And then this also is a pocket with some more imagery on the back and front and blank in the middle. Now you definitely could use pattern paper on all the places that I left white or black, but I do find that the people that tend to buy my albums want more spaces for photos and journaling, so I didn't want to go overboard. But I think it turned out really, really lovely. I love the imagery of this, and because I live so close to the water, I'm not a sailor, but I do love the water, and I am stoked on this little folio, and I think it's super cute, and you can make it in a day. The part that takes the longest is adding the pattern paper. All right, and there we go, a little cute little ribbon closure to keep it closed. And there we are. All right, I will show you the materials and the papers themselves, and then we will construct this beautiful project. Okay, so here are the Atlantis papers. Now I've not printed them all out. I just printed out the ones that I thought that I would need. The collection's quite large. So we've got some kind of cut apart pieces, some file folder with beautiful images. Here's some like fussy cut images, bookmarks. I love the circles. I'm definitely going to use a few of those for sure. And I love some of these cut aparts as well, so I'll use some of those. And then we've got there's 3 different sizes of the journaling cards. So these are the small ones. And again, I just printed out a few of them. And then this is the largest size of the journaling cards. There is one size that's a little bit smaller. Oh, this is a full, sorry, these blah, blah, blah. These are the full sheets first, the full image sheets, and then the journaling cards. So these are the largest ones. Some gorgeous imagery on here. And then we've got some just kind of simple paper that you can use for matting, just to like kind of let the eye rest. It's all nicely coordinated. And then you've got the patterned full sheets, and there's a few horizontal and a few vertical. Okay, so that's the paper collection. Now, and everyone asks what I printed on. I print all my digital papers on 80-pound cardstock that has a silk finish. I just get them printed at my local copy shop. So if you just go online and look for silk or satin finish, you'll find something. Most printers have that. Okay, so now we'll go through the materials list and then we'll get going on the tutorial. Okay, so let's go over the materials. So of course you will need your paper trimmer, some scissors, some magnets. I used, I think, 12 or 14 magnets in this project. These are 10mm by 1mm disc magnets that I use. You will need some score tape or some kind of double-sided tape, and also wet adhesive. You will also need, well, if you have one, an ATG gun. If you don't, then you can use either the score tape or the wet adhesive for adding your paper. That's what I use that for. Your scoring board with your bone folder and scoring tool. Some black cardstock. I've got 80-pound, 8.5 by 11. I used just over 20 sheets. I might use a little bit of white cardstock as well for matting inside. You will need some Tyvek. I use Tyvek envelopes to create the cover. Normally they're big, long envelopes. This is literally all I have left at the moment. I really need some more supplies. And then we'll need some chipboard for the cover. It's a medium weight chipboard. I've got a craft pick for helping me get the score tape backing off. And then optionally, you can ink the edges of all of your patterned paper with Distress Oxide. I'm using black soot. You can use any ink and ink dauber that you so desire, or not do it at all. That's fine too. And I think that's everything. If I think of anything else, we'll kind of add it in, but I think that's everything. So I'm gonna get this all put away and we will start creating. Okay, so we're gonna start actually with the cover as opposed to the pages that we would normally do. So for the cover, you will need 2 pieces of chipboard that measure 6.5 inches by 9.5 inches. I'm gonna say everything in inches and I will put the centimeters somewhere here on the bottom of the screen. Okay, so 2 at 6.5 by 9.5 and 1 at 5 by 9.5. And then we will need some cardstock. We'll need 2 pieces that are 8.5 by 11 and 1 piece that is 7 by 11 inches. And then we'll need 2 pieces of Tyvek. If you don't have Tyvek or can't find it, It is quite readily available if you search for it online, but if you can't find it for some reason, then you can use any kind of material that is thin and tear-proof. Okay, I've already got some adhesive on the back sides of mine, and I've got one measuring 5 inches by 23 inches. The other one is 4 1/4 inches by 23 inches. I get the 23 inches by, so picture this being part of the envelope. So this is the entrance of the envelope. So I cut the envelope and then cut it open to create the length. Okay, so get all of that cut and we can start wrapping our covers. So I've got a little bit of score tape on the back of my covers already, my chipboard pieces, and I'm just going to remove all the tape backing, and then I'm going to add some wet adhesive for extra strength. I'm just going to smooth this out a little bit with my finger just so there's no lumpy bumpies. And this way you can kind of feel like you're a child again playing with glue. Just don't eat it. Then we're just going to place this down onto the center of the smaller piece of cardstock. I haven't got it quite perfectly centered, but that's okay, it's fine. And then we're going to put some score tape all the way around the perimeter. So I'm going to put one more line here, I think. Okay, and then we're going to take our scissors and we are just going to cut the corners. We're just going to miter the corners. So cut in until you reach that corner, angle out. So cut in, kind of rotate the piece a little bit and cut out. So you've got like a slightly angled cut there. Okay, and now we're just going to take all 4 of those sides and just kind of pre-bend them just so it helps them to know where they need to go. And then we're going to remove the tape backing and add some wet adhesive and fold over all 4 sides. Okay, take your bone folder and give it a really good crease all the way along. Okay, and do that to all 4 sides. Okay, and then we're going to do the same to the shorter ones. And if you have cut a little bit too close, like I cut a little bit too close to that corner, you can see a tiny bit of the chipboard. Don't panic because we're going to be covering most of the edges with the Tyvek. You won't see it anyway, so no panic. You're good. Okay, and now we're just going to do the exact same process with the 2 bigger pieces of chipboard and the 2 bigger pieces of cardstock. Okay, so once we've got all 3 of our chipboard pieces wrapped in the cardstock, we're going to take the wider piece of Tyvek, remove all the tape backing, We're gonna add some wet adhesive and then smooth it around with your finger. Okay, and then we are going to place the 2 larger pieces of chipboard onto it. We want about 1.25 inches in between them. Doesn't have to be super exact, so don't panic about that. And then we are going to bring up the bottom and then fold over the top part like that. And use your bone folder to really get that crease down and adhered. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with the other piece, but it's going to go here and attach the smaller piece on the left. Okay, so a little over 1 inch or so. So it's going to fold like this, and then this piece is going to fold over top. Okay, so I've got my wet adhesive on there as well, and it's all smoothed out with my finger. And now I'm going to place these 2 pieces on. Make sure that they're even with each other. And do the same thing. Bring this up. I think I went a little bit crazy on the wet adhesive. I might have a little bit smooshing out here, but that's okay. Okay, so this is going to be your cover. Now we can add all of our interactive elements inside. Okay, so we're going to start with the right side and the pieces you will need. So you'll need 2 A pieces, and they will measure 7 1/8 by 9 3/8. 2 of those. Actually, let's just get this out of the way for a second so it's not confusing. Okay, so 2 of the A pieces. Your B is 7 7/8 by 7 5/8. Your C is 5.5 by 6 3/4. And your D is 6 inches by 7 1/8. Okay, so get those cut. Bring in your scoreboard. We're going to score the 2 A pieces at 1/2 and 3/4 on the 7 1/8 inch side. Okay, so those are the A's. The B, we're going to score on the 7 7/8 inch side. We're going to score at 1/2 and 5/8. And then we're going to rotate the piece a 1/4 turn, either way, and score again at 1/2, 5/8. And then also at 7 and 7 1/8. Or if it's easier for you, you can just rotate the whole thing again, so that as long as you have two sides that have those score lines and one of the longer sides. Okay, so 3 sides, the 2 long ones, 1 short one, will have those score lines. It's going to be a pocket. Your C piece, we're going to score at half on the 6 3/4 inch side. And then the D piece, we're going to score at half on the 6-inch side. And then we're going to rotate it a 1/4 turn, score again at half. Okay, and so on the 7 1/8 inch side, words are hard. We're going to score at half, and then you can flip it all the way around and again score at half. So again, you have a U shape of 1/2 inch score lines. Okay, so that's the scoring that we're going to do for this part. Now we're going to add our score tape to each one of those 1/2 inch sections. So make sure not to put your score tape on the score line. You want to make sure that there is a space between the score tape and the score line itself. On these places where there's intersecting score lines, it's okay to cover those because we are going to be mitering these corners, so that's okay. And then the A's. Okay, so now we're going to miter the corners. So just like we did with the cover, we're just going to take off a little bit at an angle. So we're going to start from the outer edge and just snip a little bit at an angle. So when there's a gusset like this, don't cut into that gusset, okay? There's 2 score lines that are kind of right beside each other. Okay, so I just did the A's at the same time. The B will cut here and here, and then when you get to the corners, we're going to cut in to the inner score line and then cut out. Okay, so this is what that looks like there, and then here is what it looks like. Okay, and then we are just going to continue mitering. So this is our C piece, and then our D piece will do the same thing where we go into where the score lines meet, angle out just a little bit. Okay. Alright, so now we are going to fold and crease every one of those score lines. Okay, so folding and creasing all of the score lines. On the A and B, you want to make sure that you get both of those little gusset lines. Okay, so you're going to have on the B, it's going to have a little tiny space that looks like that on each side. On the A, the space will be just a little bit bigger. Okay, so it'll look like that. And then we'll do the 2 A's. I've already done the C and the D. Okay, so the A will have a little bit bigger of a gap there. Okay, now we can start putting it onto our cover. Okay, so open this up, working on the right hand side. we are going to put the A pieces on the left and the right hand side. So just kind of dry fit, make sure that they fit within what you want them to. Okay, remove the tape backing, add some wet adhesive, and glue it down. Okay, so you want to go kind of like right to the edge of the chipboard on either side. Okay, and make sure that they're even with each other, and adhere this one right to the edge as well. Okay, and you can go right over left, left over right, doesn't really matter. I'm going to trim a tiny smidge off the bottom, like whichever one I'm having underneath, off this edge, just because I want to make sure that it is not going to kind of, I think my blade is a little bit crooked right now because it looks a little bit crooked to me. I might have just put it on crooked, but anyway, I am going to trim just a tiny hair off of the bottom one. Okay, perfect. So those are your A's. The B is going to be a pocket right smack dab in the center of the two A's, covering over these half-inch sections, so right down onto the base part. So remove the tape backing. I like to have my sides in first, and then I let the bottom part kind of attach, like adhere just at the corner bit there, and then I add my adhesive, my wet adhesive. Okay, and then that is going to go right at the bottom. It's going to touch the two score lines, the inner score lines of these A's. Okay, the C piece is going to adhere to the bottom left edge of that B. Okay, and the D is going to go right on top of the C. Okay, so we've got a pocket, but that pocket also opens, another pocket, and then two pieces that close over top. So we're going to add one magnet going from the back of the B to the front of, sorry, the back of the C to the front of the D. I think I said B with the pocket as well. So the D pocket goes onto the C. We're going to put a magnet on the very back of the C, and it's going to go to the front of the B. Hope everybody's with me. So I'm putting 2 magnets magnetized together onto that little piece of score tape, along with a tiny piece of cat hair. Another small piece of score tape there on top of those magnets. Remove the backing, close it down, and now we're going to put a little bit of score tape over top of those magnets just to keep them where we want them. And then we're going to add 1 set of magnets to the A's. Okay, so decide which way you want it to go, right over left, left over right. I'm going with the left over the right. And again, another piece of score tape. 2 magnets. Score tape sandwich. Or magnet sandwich, I guess, with the score tape as the bread. And close. Open. More score tape. Okay, there we go. That is the right part of our folio. Now we're going to work on the center part, so let's get all of our pieces ready. Okay, for the center portion, we're going to have 2 A pieces that measure 6.5 inches by 10 1/4, and then 2 B pieces that measure 4.5 by 11. Grab our scoreboard. We're going to score both of the A's on the 10 1/4 inch side at half and 9 3/4. Then we're going to flip it over. So now it's showing the raised part of those score lines, but they're still in the same place. And we're going to score again at 5 1/8. Okay, so do that to both of the A's. So half, 9 3/4, flip, 5 1/8. Okay, and then the B pieces, we're going to score at 6.5 on the 11 inch side. Okay, so that's all the scoring we need to do. We can put our scoreboard away. I'm going to add the score tape to the 1/2 inch sections of the A's and miter the corners. Just going to miter them together since they're the same. So all 4 of these corners get a little snip. Okay, and we don't have to cut anything on the B's, so now we're just going to fold all the score lines. So for the A's, the 2 ends go one direction, but the middle goes the opposite direction. That's why we flipped it over, because you want to fold and crease away from the indent that the score line makes. Okay, and then the B's just have the one fold that also gets scored. Okay, bring back your folio base. Okay, so one of these is going to adhere to the top, the other one is going to adhere to the bottom, and they should meet in the middle. Okay, so take the score tape off 1/2 of one of the A's. Okay, and adhere that to the top. Make sure it's in between your, like hitting the edge of the chipboard. Okay, the other one's going to go at the bottom. And you want them to meet in the middle, so okay, just like that, and they open like that. And now your B pieces, one is going to adhere to this 1/2 inch section and open to the right. The other one is going to adhere to the bottom 1/2 inch section and open to the left. So either way, you could have going to the right on top or going to the left on top, whichever way you want to have them. Or you could have them going the same way if you so desire, but I think it looks cool to have them going opposite. Okay, so there's your one, and then the other one down at the bottom here. So the smaller section will be opening to the left on this one. Okay, so you've got open, open, and then open. Okay, so now we just need to add some magnets. So we're going to add magnets going from the small flap of the bee to the big flap of each bee. Okay, so I'm just going to do the whole bottom first and then I'll do the whole top. Okay, so we'll just get that out of the way for a second. Okay, so we've got the small flap of bee to the big flap of bee. I'm just going to cover those magnets with some score tape. Okay, now we want a magnet going from the back of the bee to the first section of the A. So we could probably use this same magnet since there's already one here. Take one single magnet, let it find its buddy through the back of the B piece, add another piece of score tape, and then just close that up. Okay, so now you've got another magnet there. And now you can do the same thing going down to the base, but I'm going to use another magnet just because I don't want all the magnets in a row because it will create a big bulk. So I want to have it just a little bit offset from that one. Okay, and now it does still open this way. We can add a magnet here as well. I mean, they won't flop around too much, but if you would like to, you could add another magnet there. I'm going to do the same on the upper part. Okay, perfect. And then just cover all of those magnets with some score tape. think I got them all. Oh, not quite. Okay, there we go. So that is your center part. Now we can get our pieces for the left side. All right, so on to the pieces for the left-hand side. So we've got our A, which is 4 3/4 by 11. We have 6 B pieces that are 4 3/4 by 5.5. C piece is 4 3/4 by 5 5/8. And our D piece is 2 7/8 by 9 1/4. All right, grab your scoreboard one more time. Okay, so for the A pieces, there's quite a few score lines. So stay with me. We're scoring on the 11-inch side at half, 1 inch, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/2, 3. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 score lines, all at 1/2 inch increments. Okay? You see that? There we go. So that is your A. Your B pieces do not need to be scored at all. Your C, we are going to score at 1/2 and 5/8 on the 5 5/8 side, so the longer side, at 1/2 and 5/8. Okay, so creating that little gusset there. And the D piece we are scoring on the 9 1/4 inch side at 2, 2 1/8, 2 1/4, 7, 7 1/8, 7 1/4. Okay, so those are all the score lines we need to do. All right, so now we fold and crease all of these. And I kind of do these one at a time because each one of them is a little bit different. So starting, we're going backwards. This is the D. So fold all 3 lines on that gusset and use your bone folder and give them each a crease. Okay, and we are going to add adhesive to the back side of the 2 flaps, and we're going to add adhesive to the inside of the big part. But before I do, I want to add some Tyvek, just like scrap pieces here, going over the score lines on the back side. This is just to strengthen those score lines because they're going to be doing a lot of work as things move around for this piece. So okay, fabulous. So we're adding our score tape to the ends here like this. Okay, so these ones are folding this way, folding under, and now we're going to flip it over and add score tape in between the 2 side flaps, so the whole middle section here. Okay, the C piece is pretty straightforward. We're just gonna score these, add our 1 line of score tape and miter the corners there. And you'll notice that we didn't do any mitering on the D piece. This is the only one that will need mitering for this part. Okay, so that's your C. The B's are still just chilling. They don't need anything done to them. And the A, we're just going to add score tape to each of these 1/2 inch sections, but we are not going to miter anything. Okay, just like that. And now fold and crease each one of these score lines as well. Okay, now we can kind of start putting everything together. So we're going to fold all of those score lines like behind. I guess it's actually going to be on the front. Okay, just like that. And we are going to start adding our B's onto each of these score lines. Or each of these little 1/2 inch sections, I should say. So we're starting with the bottom. Okay, and don't let the paper go over top of the score line. It should meet the bottom of the A piece. Okay, and then we'll go with the next one. Make sure they're lined up with each other as we go. And we'll just keep doing this all the way to the top until we've used all 6 of the B pieces. Okay, and there are all your B's adhered. Okay, your C piece is going to, so lift all of these B pieces up. Okay, we're going to adhere the C to the very bottom of the A. Just like that. Flip these back. Now your D piece, so we're actually, let's score or give these all a crease, I should say. So each one of your B pieces, fold them down, give them a crease. The better these folds are creased, the better this whole mechanism is going to work. Okay, perfect. And now this part of your D is going to adhere to the bottom of the very first B that we put down. Okay, so it's going to go right down onto the bottom of this bee. It's important to get it as straight as you can. Okay, and now your C piece will fold up and over the bees. We're going to add one magnet there to close that. So I'm going to put a piece of score tape on the front of the C. I'm going to put one magnet there. I'm going to let another magnet find its buddy through the cardstock. Another small piece of score tape. Close it up. Add some score tape over those magnets. Okay, there we go. And now these two flaps are going to adhere onto our left side base. Okay, but we want to put pattern paper on here first, and we also want to put a magnet on here. So because we want this to kind of, we don't want it flapping around, because this is the only, these parts are the only things that are keeping this whole piece onto the page. So what it's going to do is this: when you open this up, once these flaps are attached down, this is going to be a rolling waterfall. And because it's not attached right now, it's not moving as well. And also we need to crease these even more. The better they're creased, the better they will roll. Okay, but in the decorating phase, I will show you that. But for now, we're just going to put one magnet on the back of this. We are going to put a magnet attaching it to the page, and then I will start doing the decorating kind of stuff. Okay, so I've got two magnets magnetized together, doing the magnet sandwich. Okay, and then we're going to flip it over. We're going to kind of place it right in the center and let that magnet adhere. Okay, and then we're going to cover this magnet with just a tiny piece of tie back. So we just don't want this magnet to get caught on anything and come up, so I just want to make sure that it is covered with something. And tie back is so thin that it won't hinder anything. Okay. All right, so that will hang out right there. All right, so we're done with the actual construction of the album. I'm going to do quite a bit of the pattern paper off camera, simply because it does take quite a while to do, and you know, it'll hardly take me a couple hours, so I don't want you to have to sit through a couple hours of me putting on pattern paper. So I'll do most of it, and then I will come back and very slowly go through it so that you can see what's going on. Okay, so I've got most of the patterned paper on. Anything that I needed to show you, I've kept not adhered yet, so we can kind of go through it slowly. So on the right hand side, this is the image that I chose for the front. I wanted to keep this flat because this is going to be folding over here, and I don't want it to get caught on anything here, so I just wanted one solid image over here. And then when you open this up, I wanted to do little tiny ribbon pulls so you knew that it opened up. So I've left this part blank so that I could show you how to do a little ribbon pull. So I've just got some sheer ribbon here. I'm just going to take maybe like 3 inches or so. Put a little bit of score tape on one end and fold it over so that it kind of does a little open loop. Okay, so just fold it over like that so it's a little open loop like that. And then we're going to remove this score tape here, and I'm going to put a tiny bit more down on it. I guess we've already got score tape covering the magnet, so this extra piece might not be really necessary, but okay. And now I'm going to put it here. We just want a tiny bit sticking out. This might be a tad long. I'm just going to trim a little bit off. Okay, now the magnet is strong enough that this shouldn't really affect it, but we just want a little bit sticking out there, and then we'll put another piece of score tape over top of that to keep it in place, just like that. And now we can add our piece of pattern paper. So I've done the journaling, like the large journaling cards, and then just kind of went around and paper pieced around with one of the kind of solid colored pieces of paper. I thought this blue went really well with all the ones that I chose. Okay, so that's just going to go right in here. Now this, one of the reasons that I don't do all of the pattern paper on camera is because A, it takes quite a long time. It's the longest part of the process, so I didn't want you to get bored. And B, you don't have to do exactly as I'm doing. There's so many options when it comes to adding the pattern paper, so I want you to feel like you also have freedom to do what it is that you want to do. So when you open it up, I've done the same thing, so I wanted them all to kind of be cohesive and mirror each other. Then on the pocket, I cut apart one of the kind of file folder bits, and then in the pocket I just have a little booklet with white on the inside. Okay, so then that opens, and the other file folder part I cut apart and put there. The floral here, another one of these little kind of booklets with some of the pattern paper. And then just a note, when you are putting pattern paper into the pocket, you just have to go in so that it's about an inch down, so that you don't want the pattern paper to end right here, because then things can get caught. So just make sure that it's tucked in just a little ways when you adhere it. It doesn't have to go all the way down, but just a little bit. Okay, so that's the right side, nothing too crazy. There it is. The center, so I wanted the patterned images on either side, and then the center I wanted to be a little bit more plain so the eye has somewhere to rest. So I've taken that green and then one of the kind of beige tones, and then on the inside I've got parts of journaling cards and then just white, and then just enough pattern paper here so that when this closes you can see the pattern paper, but when it opens you've got the white. And then I've got ribbon pulls done the same way on either of these, and I put them opposite so they were easy to open. Okay, so on the inside of each of these, when you fold them up and down like that, I've just left it black because I want there to be spots for just adding photos. You can completely add pattern paper or just white paper for journaling, that's totally fine. When you open it the other way, on both sides I've got white in the center and then that floral pattern on either side, and then when you open it all the way I've got white and then another one of these gorgeous images in the center. But I do want to add just a little something to signify that these do open. So remember in the beginning how I said I wanted to use these circles? So I've just fussy cut 4 of the circles. The 2 kind of ones with like a brown tone around the edge, I'm going to glue halfway onto here and here. Okay, and then when you open it up, I don't want I've backed them on chipboard, and I don't want the chipboard to show, so I'm going to glue one of the blue ones kind of in the same spot. Okay, so something like that. All right, so I'm going to add some wet adhesive. That's a little bit too much. I'll put some on this other one here. Okay, so I'm going to put this down here. Make sure it's straight. And then it doesn't really matter which one, but I'm going to adhere one of these, again using some wet adhesive. And then I'll have to kind of clip these for a little while just to make sure that the glue has time to dry. Okay, so just adhere this on. Just like that. I don't want to cover up all of this because I want there still to be room for you to journal if you want to journal there. Okay, and then I'm just going to clip that. I'm just going to use a couple paper clips just to kind of give it a chance to completely dry. If you notice that they didn't line up perfectly, I want to cut this off. I've got some of the white showing through. You don't want that, so I'm just going to kind of cut that off before. There we go. And then we can even take our ink dauber and just kind of ink around it so that you can't see that white. Perfect. Okay, reclip. Okay, and then clip this one as well, and then we can move on to the last section. Okay, then over here on the front I've got part of one of the journaling cards there. On the inside, again, part of the journaling card, but I wanted to add one more ribbon opening little thing, ribbon pull tab. Okay, so I'm going to quickly do that. You could do a swing tab if you'd prefer. Okay, so I'm just going to open this. Okay, and then I will remove that score tape, add that piece of paper. Okay, fantastic. Now here, I just wanted to show that as this opens, I wanted this image to kind of carry all the way through. So started here, and then there's just like a ½ an inch on each one that continues that image, and then just white for the rest, and then black up here so you can have just photos, or you could also write in a white gel pen. And then on this part I've got just one of the, I believe that was from one of the big pieces of paper, I think. Okay, and then this piece of paper, you want it to slide up underneath. So this is our, here, I'll take this up so you can see it better. So you want this piece of paper to go most of the way until it almost reaches the 1/2 inch sections, okay? Because otherwise it will start getting caught as you're pulling the mechanism. So I just wanted to show you that. So we'll put that down and then we can actually adhere it onto our page. But I just have to quickly change my ATG tape. Okay, back in business. Okay, so I'm just going to adhere this one down. Okay, now this all folds back like that. That folds up. Okay, so this is going to sit down onto our page like this, but we want our patterned paper on first, but we're going to put these 2 flaps kind of underneath the patterned paper so that they are both hidden, and it creates a lot of stability for this whole part, right? Okay, so I'm going to remove the tape backing from this and put some wet adhesive on. This is going to be kind of a maneuvering things all at once. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Okay, so okay, now we can adhere everything together. So we've got our piece of pattern paper. We're going to put it in behind our piece that we're adhering. We're going to fold these flaps, but put it all down at the same time. We've got that magnet there, so it already knows where it wants to go. We just have to make sure that our pattern paper is in the right spot. And then push everything down. Okay, and now when we pull on this, it's got a beautiful flow to it and it's very secure. Okay, so now that that is on, we just need to work on our cover. So this is going to close like this. This is going to close like this. And we are going to do a ribbon closure. So I'm going to get some score tape. Going to put a piece of score tape right in the center there. And then I'm also going to put one on the back side. Now, ignore the rips here. I put the back cover on before I forgot about the ribbon closure, and so I put a pattern paper there, and then I'm like, oh no, I need to put my ribbon closure on still. So yeah, everybody makes mistakes. I'm not immune to this. So yeah, make sure they're as even as possible. Okay, and now I'm just going to literally take a piece of ribbon. I'm going to use a slightly stronger ribbon than the sheer. I'm going to go with this ribbon here. Make sure I have enough. So I'm going to go with maybe that much. Okay, and nothing fancy. I'm just going to adhere that down. I might put a little bead of wet adhesive as well, actually. Okay, so put that down there. Okay, flip to the front, and then we're going to put another piece of ribbon here. I'd rather go too long and have to cut it than be too short and have it not tie properly. Okay, now we can put our front cover on. Okay, so I've chosen part of one of the larger pieces of pattern paper. Use my bone folder to just make sure that all the glue that I just put on there is nicely kind of spread out. It's not going to be any lumpy bumpies. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same for the back piece. Make sure to pay special attention to the very corners because those are the parts that could lift up in the future. Okay, and put that on. Make sure that your ribbons are pretty much lined up where you want them to be. Okay, again, use that bone folder to make sure that everything is tickety-boo. Okay, and then you just have to put on this piece of paper. Okay, so this is our last piece. All right, and then we tie this up. Trim off any extra that you would like to trim off. Just gonna pull these in a little bit. Okay, it's just like that. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you will go back to my channel and watch some other ones and check some more out and do some of my other tutorials. I have many free ones on my YouTube channel, and I have tons of really big, awesome ones in my Etsy shop as well as other beautiful things like some jewelry and paper collections. So I hope you'll go and check that out. Thank you to Victoria Designs for having me join them for another project, and I will see you all again very soon. Love you so much, and I hope you're having a beautiful day. Bye!